Hello, welcome to the Game Crusade. Today I'm going to be talking about an very old game, but still great nonetheless. You can still play and have great fun. Reaver. My version was back on the Dreamcast. Really old system, now it's a dead system, but still, I'm a Dreamcast fanboy. But one of my favourite systems. Yeah, great game. Really great game, one of my favourites. In fact, it probably, well, not the favourite, but one of the favourites. It's basically the Legacy of Kain series. It was the second game in the series. But what a jump from Blood Omen straight to this. Full 3D textures and everything. And even back in Dreamcast days, that was still like, it looked amazing. Really, it was the fourth game I bought for Dreamcast. And it blew my mind. It was like Grand Theft Auto in Vampire Land. It was Nosgoth, and it had all these great literal language. It had great language in it, and you could listen to it. It sounded like a Shakespearean text. You play a character called Raziel, one of the most badass character names and designs. And he's a vampire, and he serves his master Kain. Kain is like the oldest vampire in history, apart from Vorador. And he is, every century or so, Kain gets a gift, and then after a few more years, he passes it on to his offspring. He has like a couple of offspring who are like his generals, Raziel being one of them. And one day Raziel surpasses him, like he gets a gift before Kain, and Kain's like, what the Jesus, what? And he's got wings, and it's like, damn, you can't do that. You can't do that. I need to get wings first. What's going on? So he snaps off the bone, and it is gruesome. Oh my gosh. But yeah, he basically fucks over Raziel because of jealousy. And what about her? What a bad guy. Back then I thought, Jesus, that's terrible. He's gonna get, and Kain never gets wings. What a shame. But yeah, this game was, like I said, 3D, you could free roam, go anywhere, but it kept the whole free roaming thing, it kept it to a linear path still. Like, what I mean by that is, you could go anywhere you want. You felt free, but there were still limitations. You couldn't go to the more advanced, far areas of the game without acquiring a certain power. And here's where it really gets cool. Getting these powers is basically the way forward in the game. And to get these powers, you have to hunt down your brothers and slay them. Really, you have to hunt down each one so you can get the power to move on to the next one. And then eventually you get to Kain's fortress. But these brothers are amazing. Like, there's Melchiah, Zephon, Rahab, Duma. Those are the only ones you face. But, spoilers, sorry. But, you're always craving to see him confront each one. And throughout the centuries, vampires have evolved. Kain stayed the same. But the vampire generals went to different corners of Nosgoth and adapted to the environment. Say one went to a drowned abbey which had been flooded by water, so he adapted, which really changed his appearance and his offspring's appearance to these kind of fish serpentine creatures. One went to a cathedral, and because they were tied up in the cathedral, strangely enough they became anarachnid based. And wait till you see Zephon, my gosh, it's brilliant. And I just love the dialogue between them. It's like a Shakespearean text of awesome, epic brilliance. Yes. And what an antagonist. There was certain things about the game which I thought were quite a nice bonus. There would be moments where maybe you want to take a break from your vampire slaying. Yeah. Even vampire slayers, or soul reavers, will want to do that. They want to take a break. So, where do you go? Where you don't want to kill vampires? I tell you what, let's go to the human city. Yes, there was a human city where you could just run around and slaughter all the humans you want. It was brilliant. It was a sadist dream. Oh my gosh, I felt like Dracula in that. But back in the day, it was one of those. I didn't get very. It had these puzzles that I remember I was stuck on one puzzle for about a month because it was like, first I was quite young, I was playing for it, and I was playing a lot of Sonic as well, and I could not find the first brother, and I was just wandering around the whole wasteland, and the point of this is that even in that month where I had nothing to do, where I was getting nowhere, I was just having too much fun just going around and slaughtering the hell. Oh my god, the slaughtering you can do. You can pick up, you get these vampires, fledglings, and soldiers, foot soldiers and such, that roam the wastelands, like tribes and stuff. And you could pick up a spear, go up to it and beat it up, and then just, because what you have to do is to get health, you have to absorb their souls, and he does this by pulling at his cloak, and he's got no bottom jaw, and he just sucks in the souls of the dead. But to get the souls, you have to kill the vampire. Well, you don't kill it. You have to basically pierce the vampire, burn it, drop it in water, pierce its heart, whatever, and the soul will come out. In that brief moment, you have to suck in the soul. Otherwise, the vampire isn't truly dead. It's just waiting for you to take out its heart, or to be dry or unburned, and it will come back to life, more powerful than before. So what you have to do is you have to suck up the soul, get the health, and the vampire will disintegrate in this really cool burning texture stuff. It was awesome. Oh, the game had this mechanic where Raziel, he could cast this spell. He existed as a wraith, essentially, and he could go in between the realms, which is the spirit realm, and the real realm, like you and me, material realm. The spirit realm was like a deformed exaggeration of the real realm, where, here's an example. This is the real me. If I was a pillar and I went to the spirit world, I'd be like this. That's a shit example, but what I mean is the world would get distorted, pillars would bend, walls would shift and crack and go split ways, and a lot of the emphasis on the game was to access different points of the game. You'd have to cast a spell which would take you into the spirit world, where there'd be no enemies, just these spirit enemies which are different, and you could then move freely. You'd gain life instead of losing it in the real world, and it was like your hub, your place of safety. But at the same time, the spirit world is where you could truly die. Say you died in the real world, you just fade into the spirit world, you lose your material body. But in the spirit world, even though it was like your safe haven, it came to a point where if you died in the spirit world, you died. You'd go and you didn't essentially die and game over. You just went back to the start of the game at the spirit world, under the Elder God, which is like a giant Cthulhu-esque octopus type thing, which I loved because even looking at it, trying to look at it, you could never grasp its true form. It looked like a giant octopus that had just had its arm wrapped around everything. And then you see more of it in Defiance and Soul Reaver 2 and stuff, and it becomes I won't spoil anything actually. But he's like your guide, the one voiced by Michael J. Tony J. Rest in peace. What a voice. He also did work on Tenchu in some series. I can't remember. But look him up, he's brilliant. You've got some great voice actors. Michael Bell, who played Raziel, and Melchiah. I can't remember his name, he played Kane. But he played that character in Uncharted. Yeah. Some of the best voice acting you'll ever hear in a video game. Some of the best acting, some of the best plot you'll ever find in a video game. And let's just say it's something that does vampires justice, which is hard to find these days, you know. If you haven't played it by now, just, I'm sounding cliche, but do go play it. It's on PSN. It's on Xbox Live, I think. Download it for about £6, $8. It's truly a game that you can just, it's timeless. And because I had it on Dreamcast, the graphics were timeless as well. I have it on PS1, and I can say that PS1, well, it is like, well, if you can't get the Dreamcast one, get the PS1 version, but it's best to Dreamcast one with the crystal dynamic